Hello, founders, investors. Welcome back to Next Run Ready. I'm your host, Chris. We have special guest Marla Miller from 9 to 5 Docs. Marla, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
So, I personally love what 9 to 5 Docs does because I don't think that the legal side is talked about a lot outside of our startup bubble. So, what kind of got you to solving this problem?
Well, it was a long journey, I think, being a lawyer, right? And used to be an international tax lawyer, working with multinationals on cross-border transactions, and then I switched to working with small to medium-sized businesses, and accidentally started working with startups. I never
Wow.
intended to do it, and I specialize in early-stage startups. I have my own practice, and it was really difficult to serve clients. I guess that's the best way to say it. They needed information, they needed help, and the typical legal model and our hourly rates aren't always conducive to doing that. And so I started asking why and is there a better way? And eventually got here. So yeah.
It's an interesting journey. And with focusing on like the pre-seed and seed founders, do you find that it's easier now, like going the software path versus like services?
In terms of legal services,
Yes.
or I think honestly, a hybrid is going to be the best model going forward. A lot of founders and business owners do DIY legal to save money. And I mean, that's why things like LegalZoom and Rocket Lawyer and all these
Yeah.
others exist, right? They've been doing it forever. And then you have attorneys on the other side saying, don't do it because you'll mess it up and we'll see you in court. You may get into litigation because your documents don't protect you. And so what we're trying to do at 9 to 5 is fuse the two together and really provide resources to founders by empowering them with education, documentation, but then also providing access to attorneys as well.
Oh, okay. So you won't just have just a software where they can come and use it. You're like the one-stop shop where I might have done something already on my own, but I need a little more help and I'm kind of lost at a certain stage. Then I go to you.
Exactly. Yes.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah. And then we also have things that you can't see on the front end, but once you purchase documents, you have a free account, you have like free e-sign, and pretty soon you will have a data room. And so we're really working to eliminate the need for a lot of different subscriptions, lost documents and emails, miscommunications, and really streamlining it for founders, simplifying it for them, making it easier to share with investors, attorneys, and all the key parties.
That makes sense. Okay, so what are some of the more glaring legal issues you've seen in your journey as an attorney now that you've gotten into the startup world? Like, what mistakes are these founders making?
Well, it's easy to say not having proper legal documentation,
Yeah.
right? But it's the truth, and they end up oftentimes in litigation, which costs them lots of money, or just lots of money to pay people out to get out of certain contracts. And so really your job as founder is protecting your company and protecting your IP along with the other founder duties, but from the legal perspective. And so I always say one of the key legal documents that founders need is a IP assignment agreement or contracts that have that in there to make sure that they own all the IP they think that they own.
Wow. Okay, wait a second. I want to kind of back up a little bit. You said the IP document. I've never even heard that mentioned. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, so it's your intellectual property, and you'll hire developers to work on things, outside developers. And IP also includes things like customer list or social media content, like
Oh,
all
man.
it's more than just patents, trademarks, copyrights. It's all the things that you're developing for your startup. And you want to make sure that you own that and your company owns it, not you personally, but your company.
That makes so much sense. I've seen some of this stuff with the litigation where some founders are in there fighting for what seems like every little nook and cranny, every little piece that is tied to the company. It can get really nasty.
It really can. And I mean, you can lose investors that way. If it's not clear that you own your IP, they're not going to want to invest in the company. So
And that was going to be one of my questions is how can that specifically affect you when you're trying to go and raise that next round, where you're trying to get more capital? How do investors kind of interact with you as a founder that's gone through that?
Yeah, investors do due diligence on companies, and that's one of the key things that they will look for is do you have IP assignment agreements, not only from those outside people, but from the founders themselves, co-founders to the company, so that the founders and co-founders aren't keeping back some of the IP, but that the company that they're going to invest in actually owns all that intellectual property.
Oh wow. So wait a second, Even the founders too? Oh well,
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense because that would stop all of the founder disputes we see happening.
Well, that and the co-founder agreements. So that was going to be my next agreement. You see a lot of companies bust up over co-founders. You could have three co-founders, and you think you're all in agreement, and you start working. And there's a lot of when you leave things open to interpretation.
Yes.
That's where legal trouble can come in.
And so can you expand on the co-founder agreement? Because I get a lot of founders reaching out to me asking if I can help them find a co-founder, and it would be nice for them to have some type of clarity on what that looks like.
Yeah, I think it's real clear that you outline ownership, like obviously how much of the company each co-founder owns. You define roles, like you have a technical co-founder, but that's not the CEO, and what each co-founder is expected to do. I always say, and VCs will tell you that they expect if they're going to invest in a company that founders have vesting of their equity. It's not all outright owned, but it vests over time. It's most say about 4 years. And that's also important because a lot of well, not a lot, but there's been a lot of situations that I've seen and continue to see where there's not proper protection and co-founders just kind of drop off, or maybe they have a family emergency or life change or work change and they can't do what they were expected to do or promised to do.
Yeah.
And the company needs to be able to protect its equity and itself and have that in place in documentation.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense because I think the co-founder issue is one of the biggest I see in early stage companies where the co-founders end up not getting along or they have disagreements on, I don't know, marketing or sales, whatever it is. And it turns into a bigger deal sometimes. It can get really bad.
It really can. And it's killed many companies because of it, which is unfortunate.
Wow. So let me ask you this. How often are you working with solo founders? I think with AI, we're seeing a lot more solo founders who can go and build anything super fast. And it's allowing people to start really profitable companies and not have a massive team behind them.
Yeah, vibe coding is the thing, right? And
Yes.
people can do a lot now that they couldn't do before. So AI is making a lot more accessible. And I think there are a lot of people that start out as solo founders. I did for my company. And it depends on what you're building, right?
Yeah.
How technical it is, because even though you can vibe code, it will take you to a certain point, and then you may need to bring someone else in. But you may not need to bring in a technical co-founder. You may just need to bring in a developer that helps you finish it out. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm taking this all in and processing it because I'm learning myself, honestly. Because I get a lot of questions about this legal stuff,
Right.
and I think sometimes founders want more of an interaction and a conversation about the legal side of startups versus just like you mentioned, LegalZoom and all the other companies where you can go in there and type on their website and put stuff in. But are they giving you actual like legal advice sometimes or helping you plan things out? Or I just don't think it's always that inviting and welcoming for the founders.
Right. I agree. And I think that's why we'll see this hybrid model where a lot of people have talked about how AI is going to replace attorneys. I don't think that's the case with a lot of things, right? Like AI is not going to replace the human.
At all.
Right? People want more interaction with humans now that there's AI.
Especially with the legal stuff. Because if it's anything I don't just want a robot for, it is the legal stuff so I don't lose any money.
Right.
And a doctor, so I'm healthy. Like those two are like everything else AI now is like, okay, it's a conversation maybe.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if I'm doing some legal things, oh my goodness, bring me the attorney with 10, 20 years experience.
Yes, yes. I think ChatGPT agrees with you because they've disclaimed now that they do not provide legal or medical advice. Those are the two things that.
Really?
I mean, they'll still answer questions, but they do
Yeah.
disclaim it. Yeah.
I think they should
So
be referring attorneys and like things like that. I think that should happen based on your
right.
state. I don't know, some kind of data or something that could be in the future. I would love that. But I think that legal is where you have to interact with a person to really be comfortable with whatever advice is that you've gotten for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think attorneys will be on the front end in terms of answering questions, but then they'll always be needed for strategy because there's just real life experience that
Yeah.
we have that cannot always be captured. And even though a lot of early stage startups look very similar, there are unique circumstances at times. So
Yes, very, very much unique. So, in your journey building this company, how's it been so far just working with Mortar founders after leaving, like you said, the international tax space? Do you like enjoy it?
well, it's why I started. Like, I come from an entrepreneurial family, and so big corporate just, even though I loved what I did, it just wasn't where I was happy. I love startup founders. Some of the most optimistic, energetic, creative, innovative people, right? And I get excited working with them. And I love that I get to be a startup founder helping startup founders.
Yeah.
It's really cool because it's almost like we're in this together, in a
Yes.
way. And I learn from them too. And so it's really fun, actually. I love it.
That is good. That is good. So, what are some of the other reasons that somebody should use 9 to 5 docs over Claude or something like that? And specifically, like if I'm trying to make contracts or whatever, why would it be better to go to 9 to 5 docs versus going to AI to make that contract?
Yeah, there's several reasons. Open AI, it's trained on everything. And so it's wrong 100% of the time, at least a little bit, unless you are legally knowledgeable enough to know how to prompt it and refine it. Like attorneys do really well with Claude, right? Or Perplexity or some of these others. So someone with that background can work with the OpenAI pretty well. But ours is attorney trained. And
Okay.
and we put parameters on it. So the answers that you're getting, the feedback that you're getting is from attorneys and not just from open source. And so that's one reason. And then another one is as good as ChatGPT and Claude and these others are, they're not the best at drafting.
Yeah. Yeah, and that type of stuff matters a lot in the legal process. Like, I didn't know how much it mattered that you have the right numbers on the page and you
Yeah.
put the person's name in the right place. Like, it's so little, but it does matter. It matters.
Yeah, and it can give you like basic things that you would need in a contract, and that's good for educational purposes, but it just doesn't take it a step further, and it's not as robust as you need either. So that's really important. And then what we've done with 9 to 5 is the documents that we have on the site are actually pre-drafted, but we have the variables
Wow.
predefined that there are the important variables, meaning let's
So, like
take
a
a
template?
yeah, it is right now. And then the AI takes you through what you need to do and where you need to input information. And it tells you what this covers and what it doesn't cover. And if you're just not sure if it's the right document for you, that's why the attorney consultation is there. So,
Oh, man, that makes so much sense. Yeah, I've been trying to find ways to give more of the legal advice, but not too much because I don't know anything.
you know enough to be dangerous, right?
That's it. I know enough to know what you shouldn't do. I don't know what you should do. I'm not there yet. I'm not.
Hey, that's a
Um,
start.
yeah, I think not knowing is good. When you can admit you don't know, I think that would help a lot of founders if they just admit it. I don't know how to do this. Yes, Claude told me this, Gemini told me that, but I got to go and get the legal advice because I'm just not all the way there on this and I don't know how to do. I don't know what I'm doing. I think that type of self-awareness will help founders a lot more and they will stay out of trouble.
Yes, I agree. I think we've kind of we put a lot on founders. They have to be generalist in everything. I know this as a founder, it's very
Yes.
difficult, right? Legal should not be one of those things. It just,
Right.
it's, so don't
point.
take that on because you're not trained and there are resources out there for you that, are outside of the big law rates.
Yes. Yeah. I think that might be the biggest thing when I talk to founders is that they will tell me, I don't have all of that money. I can't pay that. I can't pay that, which is understandable, but you have to put money into the legal part because it's just so dangerous if you don't. Like you not paying money now for the right legal help could lead to a lot of problems down the line. That's just my perspective.
Yeah, it's true. And I think I was talking to, I've talked to several attorneys about this, but I talked to one recently, and it's us we're pitching the future when we pitch legal services, saying you need this now so you don't get in trouble later, right?
Right.
And it's kind of a hard sell, but it really is, right? Like you have to put these protections in place now before they matter. And I will tell you, the companies that blow up the most are the people that go into business with family, friends, their best friends since kindergarten, because they go in assuming that the business will operate kind of like their relationship. And they assume that they have these understandings, the same understanding.
Yep.
And they put nothing in writing, or they don't put enough in writing, and then when it blows up, it blows up. And those relationships strain and so forth. So you just really put it in writing. That's the best advice that you give. Whatever you're thinking, whatever your interpretation is, put it in writing, and that gives everyone, it's not just protecting yourself, but to make sure you're on the same page. Make sure you are cognizant of what you're getting into and the other person is too, and it's like a meeting of the minds, and then you just move forward from there.
So much easier to operate that way versus I've heard horror stories about people having to like backtrack because of what happened with the legal process early on. It's all kind of stuff. It's warrants, safes, all kind of things that have happened to the company. And now they're trying to raise a Series A and the investors are like, wait a minute, you have all of this slop over here. So I do agree that it has to be taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. I mean, you do lose investors that way, right? Like they call it cap table is a mess.
Yes.
Payments are a mess. Measures are a mess. So it's very important.
Yeah, I appreciate this breakdown. This is giving me more. I think the intellectual property one got me the most because I know a guy who ran an agency at one time, and this make me think of it. He should have had a contract. The person he was working with on his team ended up quitting. She left, and she took all the brand assets. She took the email list, everything, and you couldn't even recover it. She took a list of like 10,000 people. That's a lot, and these were high value targets. So yeah, there's a lot of documents out there on the legal side that can help you.
Yeah, and just that one document right there would have helped him,
Wow.
So I had a co-founder that they became a customer in 9 to 5, and they had a previous, it's a founder, and they had a previous co-founder that just quit one day and went and made a competing product.
Man.
And so luckily, I think only one of her customers went over, and the rest were like, that's really shady, dude. But it's not always that, it's not always that clean and easy.
That makes sense. Okay, well, Marla, this was good. I think we got some good details for the founders. And well, one more question. One more. What would you say is the biggest red flag with the founders when setting up their legal side of their business?
Biggest red flag for who?
For the founders. So if I'm a founder setting up my company and I'm trying to do all the legal stuff myself, like what's the biggest issue you see founders making then that they have to go back years later and correct?
I think it's what we've discussed mostly is not getting things in writing and not properly documenting. And then I'll tell you this, I've seen a lot of founders, because they're typically very optimistic people and good people, and they're excited and they want people to be excited about their company, and they give away too much equity too soon. So that's a big one too.
That sounds terrifying. That absolutely sounds terrifying. Giving away equity, oh.
Well, that's why you have to have it vest and make sure.
Yeah, because that 4-year window's there. Because then I think If you're in a pre-seed or in early stages and you give away too much equity there, when you get to like Series A or Series B, it's over. It's already too,
Yeah.
you're done. Like you
Yeah.
can't add any more to the cap table because now it's
Right.
just chaos. Like,
Yeah, you need to make sure you have a little bit once you get down the road.
man, this was really insightful. Where can the founders check out 9 to 5 Docs?
So our website, it's just 9to5docs.com. And then we're on every we're on Instagram and LinkedIn. And then my handle on Instagram and TikTok is the lawyer Marla.
All right, sounds good. Marla, thank you for being such a great guest.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. This has been great.